Hey guys, Keith from Kegland, and today we're talking about Bluetooth devices and how to pair them with some of our other RAPT connected devices. So we've got RAPT hardwired devices which you plug into the wall, and these types of RAPT devices, things like our Temp controller, or our RAPT fermentation chamber, or even the BrewZilla for that matter, can be all paired to devices like these Bluetooth devices. Now, obviously the pill can do Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is one of the great benefits of this. You've got flexibility to use it in both configurations. But the whole idea of doing this is really to expand the functionality of the separate devices. It firstly means that we can get both two probes. So, you know, we've got a probe here, for instance, wired onto the temp controller itself. But we've also got a probe here. So if you wanted to get two probe readings and then them to log both up onto the portal, on the RAPT portal, that's fantastic. But another even more important functionality, and I think this is one of the great reasons to do it, is do something like get the pill and have that sit in your fermenter, and that's right in the middle of the fermenter. It's better than even a thermowell in that respect. Because it's taking that core temperature reading, and to essentially use that temperature as the temperature which basically turns on the heating and cooling on both the chamber and also the temperature controller itself. The other nice thing about doing that is if this is paired with this, I can also get the readings on the screen. So it actually tells me the gravity of the beer that I've got in the fermenter. And the other thing is I can then also set profiles which are more complex, where I can say, ferment to a certain gravity at this temperature and then go to a certain gravity at the next temperature and stuff like that. So it opens up a whole nother plethora of different options of things that you can do down the track. But it's only possible if you know how to pair Bluetooth with this device. So this video, I'm going to basically go into this in a little bit of detail because some of you guys have struggled to use our instruction sheets. I know none of our customers really love reading instruction sheets, so we're making this video to make it really simple and show you the process, and also show you some of the small pitfalls or little areas that are easy to get confused if you're setting these things up. Anyway, let's get into it. So as you know, the pill has an access point mode you can go into to get to all the settings. So to get the pill into access mode, I first have to put it onto the charger. Now I've got a wireless charging station. These are sold separately if you want to upgrade your pill. And as you can see, I've got a wireless charging coil in here. Now, if you don't have the wireless charging coil and base station, then you'll have to open up the casing and plug in the USB Type-C connector. Now, obviously, if you've got another device like this, these are always in Bluetooth, these thermometers. So there's no need to obviously go into an access point on this and put it into Bluetooth mode because, they're permanently in Bluetooth. So on the pill, I've basically got that on the charger. I should be able to get into my networks on my phone. So I'm just going to pull up this phone here and look for RAPT pill 8E04. That's the one I've got on the charger. Type in the password Kegland1. Now, this is the password for the pill access point Wi-Fi. So as the pill's giving out a Wi-Fi, I'm connecting to the pill Wi-Fi. That's not your household Wi-Fi I'm putting the password for, just to confirm. So now I've got in there, I'm on essentially the pill configuration page. So the pill is essentially acting like a server and giving out this website here, which is basically what I can see in my phone screen. So what I'm going to do is want to tell the pill to now connect to my home Wi-Fi network. So mine's called Squanches, for instance, which I've just set up for this. And then I'm going to paste my password in. So this password is not the Kegland1 password for the pill. This one is for your home Wi-Fi password. So hit join, and then it's joining your local network, and then you should see success on the screen. So that's great. So now it's got a success. And now I go to diagnostics. So scroll down to diagnostics here and have a look at this. And as you can see, I've got all the information here, including the MAC address. So I'm going to write down the last 4 digits of the MAC, or I'm going to write down the whole MAC address here. If you want to, just keep note of that. The other thing I'm going to do is look at the IP address. So see that 192.168.1.183. Now, I think, in my opinion, it's easiest at this point, now that you know that IP address and you know that the pill is connected to your network, it's easier for me to open up a web browser and continue this whole process through the web browser. So I'm going to get this IP address 192.168.1.183, and I'm going to quickly jump over to web browser and show you the rest of the setup. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is open up my web browser on the computer. So you can see I'm just using Chrome here. You can use whichever web browser you like. And then I'm going to type in that web address I had before, 192.168.1.183. And now it's brought up the same access point screen of what we had before. So basically this is exactly what we had looking at our phone, except I'm now on the desktop computer. So I'm going to go in here. Now the first thing you want to do, if this is a brand new pill, is go into diagnostics here, like this, and then scroll down to the bottom and then check for new firmware, because we are regularly bringing out new firmwares. Now I've already done that literally just a few moments ago, so no need to do that again. So if you've already done that, then what we're going to do is we're going to register the device on the app.rapt.io website. So go to registration, and it's going to generate a registration code here. Now this code will change frequently, so every few minutes this will change. So it's important that you copy and paste and grab that straight away, or if you leave it too long, then you've got to make sure you come back and get the new code. So I'm going to go into the app.rapt.io website. Look, mine's going to log in automatically because I've already made a login on this website. And then I have to register new device. So just on the top left-hand corner here, I'm going to click register new device and then got pill hydrometer because it's a pill. Then go to next. And now what I'm going to do is be able to copy and paste with the mouse. Now this is really much easier because a lot of people make a mistake keying the wrong numbers or letters in here. They might get a 0 and type in a letter O, for instance. They're not the same. So yeah, basically it's important to get that MAC address correct, and copy and pasting between tabs in my browser will eliminate that problem. And then the validation code like that. So once you finish that, hit the next button just up here. And now I can call this pill a name. So I'm going to call it Keys Yellow Pill Testing Video, or something like that, because I'm just making a video on this right now. So finish, and now it's added to my account. You should see this green sort of notification in the top right hand corner. Okay, so now I've got the pill registered to my RAPT account on this website here. I can go back and I'm going to change the settings on the actual pill itself and put this pill into Bluetooth. So I've got this tab still open here. Go into settings like that. And then in the top right hand corner it has Wi-Fi. I'm going to change this to Bluetooth. So I'm going to click that and go to Bluetooth. So now this pill is giving out a Bluetooth signal instead of Wi-Fi in its transmission. So it's giving it gravity and temperature and so forth. And because I'm going to use this as my sensor probe for my RAPT fermentation chamber or temp controller, I'm going to make sure I don't set this, this temperature reading too long. Because obviously the last thing I want to do, if you can imagine this pill is going to wake up every, at the moment it says every 1 minute. That means it's going to wake up every minute and say, look, this is the temperature inside the fermenter. You know, you need to heat or cool. Now, if I set that to say 10 minutes, I could easily overly cool my fermenter. And then because the pill's essentially in sleep for 10 minutes before it gives the next transmission, it might be too long and it's going to hold that fermenter too cold for too long, and then basically, you know, maybe it might start freezing or something like that. Now, in reality, look, you're not going to freeze a fermenter in 10 minutes. It's going to take a lot longer than that. But when it's in Bluetooth, it's so power conservative that you can afford to really, you know, have it in this, these Bluetooth transmissions much closer together. So I'm going to just set this to 1 minute like that. 1 or 2 minutes is pretty good. So that's what we call our Bluetooth transmission frequency. So I'm going to do that, hit the set interval button. It's important you hit this button actually like that, because if you don't hit it, it doesn't actually save. So that's it now, and I'm going to jump across now to the temp controller because the rest of this setup will be on that. Okay, so now I've got this pill essentially registered to my app.rapt registration online. And then I've also got this temp controller, the same thing. I've registered this with my app.rapt account, and I've also updated the firmware on this one too. So now the next step is if I want to use this pill as my temperature sensor to control this temp controller turning on these heating and cooling devices, I've essentially got to do another step of pairing, which is pairing the Bluetooth signal out of this to this Bluetooth on this device here. Now, the same process really goes for, you know, using devices like this as well, so like that, or if I've got, instead of a temperature controller, the same process will also exist for the fermentation chamber or even the BrewZilla, because it's a very similar firmware set, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the settings on the temp controller here. So first thing I want to do is turn on the Bluetooth. So I've got to go into the settings here, and then where it says Bluetooth, it's somewhere in here. Where is it? Bluetooth enabled, I want to see. Oh, there it is, I went past it. So Bluetooth enabled, you've got to make sure this is checked in the blue square. So by default, this will be turned off. So I've got to hit that, make sure Bluetooth is enabled. The next thing I'm going to do is then I've got to say, I've got to pair this device with this. So you might have lots of different Bluetooth devices in your house if you've purchased like multiple different RAPT devices, for instance. So now what I want to do is say, I want to pair with a specific RAPT device. So in this list here, I've got a few pills around the office, so you can see I've got a list of a bunch of them here. I've been a bit clever actually on my pill, and then I've got a bit of masking tape, and I've actually written on permanent marker 8E04. So that's my MAC address for this particular pill, so I can't confuse it with others in the office. So therefore I can see that on the screen here. It says 8E04, so I'm going to hit enter and enter again, and now it's listed under the bonded devices. So you can see now that pill is bonded to this specific temp controller. But if I go back to the home screen, it doesn't really show anything. It's just showing normally, because all that's doing now is it's bonded, and now this is relaying the data up to the app.rapt.io platform. That's all it's doing. But if you want to use this pill as the control probe, so at the moment it's still using this default wide-in probe on this temp controller, then I've got to go to one step further and say use this as the temperature probe. So I can go into my settings again here, and now that it's bonded, you'll see right at the top of the settings over here, it says which probe to use. So temperature sensor says built-in, so this is the built-in one here, and I want to basically select this pill as my temperature probe. So I'm going to hit enter, go into that, and obviously that's popped up. So if you've actually paired multiple different devices to your temp controller, for instance, multiple will come up here. So once again, check that the last 4 digits, 8E04 is the last 4 digits of that MAC address. I'm going to hit enter, and now what's happening is my pill is being used as the temperature sensor. So I'm going to go back here to the home screen and see how this is all changed. So it's now giving me the gravity reading. Now the gravity reading is obviously not in a fermenter, so it's giving me a funny reading. If I turn it sideways like that, you'll see it'll update on the screen there pretty quickly. There you go, it's just jumped up to 1.089. The temperature is a bit warmer because I've had this basically on the charger, so the battery started to heat up a little bit. Under normal conditions when you're using the pill, basically the unit's hardly ever turning on and hardly ever using any battery, so therefore, you know, won't be generating any heat. But if it's just been taken off the charger, the warm battery will be putting this temperature out by a little bit. And then I've got the built-in probe here, so it's giving me still this old probe temperature, but I'm not actually using that probe temperature at all. So now that's all set up to use that. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you was also sensor timeout. Now, this is a really important thing because we've got 2 probes and we want to take advantage of the maximum amount of redundancy as possible. We really want to use both probes. So there's a setting in here which a lot of people forget to change, which is sensor timeout. And a sensor timeout basically is a setting which says if you lose connection between the pill and this temperature controller, how many seconds will you allow until you'll default back to this temperature probe? Okay, so if you set that too low, for instance, let's say, you know, in this instance, I've set the pill already with Bluetooth transmissions at 1 minute. If I set that too low, like 30 seconds, for instance, sensor timeout, then every minute, when this goes to sleep for a minute, it means that this will disappear and then it will default back to this probe. So if all of this information disappears off the screen periodically, it's because your sensor timeout is too low. The other thing I should say is with Bluetooth transmissions, like all sorts of wireless transmissions, a certain number of them disappear and don't get to the device, especially if you're on a stainless steel fermenter or something like that. So generally speaking, a good rule of thumb is we would always make the sensor timeout 5 times more than what the pill Bluetooth telemetry is. That's really important because that'll give you much more solid results and stop the the device like this just missing a transmission then jumping across to this probe. So I'm going to go into the settings once more, and I'm going to just show you this other setting here, which a lot of people tend to forget, and that is down here. So I've got sensor timeout, 130 seconds. Really, if my pill is giving a transmission every 1 minute, that is too low, okay? So if I accidentally somehow miss 2 transmissions, look, it's probably gonna start defaulting back to this probe. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna set this to 5 times higher than my Bluetooth transmission frequency. So I'm gonna go up here and then set this up to 300 seconds. And look, that should be plenty, really. I'm being pretty safe here. Between 3 and 5 times is probably adequate, but I'm going to say 5 times. So I'm going to go like that. So 300 seconds, and then I'm going to hit set there like that. And now I'm pretty much all done on the controller. This is all set up and ready to go. So yeah, beautiful. I'll show you the last little step on the app.rapt platform, because there's one little step extra which will really kind of improve the way that the results will be logged on the web. Okay, and I'm going to show you one more step. Now this step is really just about overlaying data. So when you jump onto the app.rapt.io website, we've got a whole lot of graphs here. Now I've had this pill, for instance, I've got a Wi-Fi charging pill. This one's already been used quite a few times, so there's already quite a lot of data on the back end here, as you can see, from different fermentation I've done in the past. Now, there's one more level of pairing I'm going to show you how to do it, which is more so about not pairing the physical devices with each other, but now I've got data coming into this website here, and because you're allowed to have lots of different RAPT.io connected pills and stuff like that, we want to show on the data which one you want that data to match up with. So we're making it really flexible for you guys, so you can pair the data up with certain temperature controllers or fermentation chambers or whatever it is you've got there. So I'm going to go in here and then click on edit here, and this pill is currently not paired from a graphing perspective, so a graphing GUI. It's not paired with anything. So I'm going to click this drop down menu, and let's say I pair this with Keys White Test Plug. That's another temperature controller I've got at home, and then hit save like that. So now what this is going to do, it's going to still show this Wi-Fi charging data graph here, but then also when I go to that other paired device, it's essentially going to be overlaying the graph on that device as well. So for instance, this is my Keys White Test Plug. Now there is thousands of data points, so it's going to take a few moments for the graph to render. But here I've got, for instance, another device which I've already been doing that. So I've got Gibden Fermentation Chamber, and then I'm going to click on this magnifying glass to open up the sort of more detailed graph. And in this section here, now you can see I've got like all this stuff on the right hand side which I can click to activate. So a lot of people don't realize that this is the case, but if I click on this, it activates that part of the chart and overlays another bit of data. So for instance, I've got this this pill here, and I can see that the Wi-Fi charging D544 pill in particular, I've just made that show up on the graph, and I'm going to click this one above like that. And that's the gravity, and now I can overlay the temperature. So look, obviously it gets a bit confusing once you're starting to get more and more data points on here. I can then pull up things like the heating utilization and compressor utilization on here, and even the alcohol by volume percentage like that. The alcohol by volume, you've got to remember, if you want this number to be accurate, you have to basically start essentially a session on the device as well, I should say. Otherwise, that alcohol by volume won't be properly zeroed in. Obviously, if I've got the pill sitting on my bench at home, and it's going to take the starting gravity while it's sitting on the bench, that's no good. So I'll show you, for instance, how to do that. If you go back, Gibden Fermentation Chamber, when I chuck that pill into a fermentation process, I want to basically go onto this platform and then hit this button here. So that's the play here. So once it's in the fermenter, floating in the fermenter, then I hit this play button, and that'll start a profile session. And that process of hitting that start button will then re-zero the alcohol percentage So that's something you can do later. Now you can also edit that later on. If you just say forgot to do that, you can actually go in and edit the alcohol percentage as well and actually change the number manually. But anyway, that's how to set it up. And look, sorry if that's a bit confusing. We've got a number of different pairing sort of things, pairing the device to your RAPT.io account, then pairing the pill or the Bluetooth device to another RAPT Bluetooth bridging device or a Bluetooth gateway device. And then we've got pairing on the app.rapt.io website, which is going to overlay, you know, certain products on each other's graph, you know, on this on the back end of the system too. So yeah, I know it's a bit confusing, but to give you guys the maximum level of flexibility, we've basically designed it this way. You know, so lots of other new devices can come in future, and you can pair different stuff, and you've got lots of different options of ways you can use the data and make it display on different graphs. Well, that's it, guys. As you can see, you know, this type of stuff, when paired together, certainly you can use each individual device and connect them to the internet separately. If you don't want to use any of this sort of complex sort of pairing functionality, that's fine. But once you do it, I think you'll understand how powerful the whole RAPT system is and the direction we're going, because there's more sensors which are coming out, things like pressure sensors and you know, digital regulators and digital spunding valves, which will really allow you to fully automate the brewing process. So it's worth sort of getting a grasp of this, because it really, you know, allows you to maximize the usage and the functionality of these different devices. All right, that's it. If you've got any other questions, just down below in the comments, just you know, fire us off any questions you've got or something I've missed, for instance. And of course, subscribe to this video. It really helps us. It's totally free. Just bottom right-hand corner, hit subscribe now. And whenever we bring out cool new stuff, you're gonna hear about it straight away. And we've got also a Facebook homebrew community group. So jump on that one too. Go online, go on Facebook and join the homebrew community group. That's it, guys. And hope to see you guys next time. All right, bye.